Between the rise of the Kimrog Empire and the tumultuous Demon Wars, there was an enigmatic era. A time when brave souls traversed oceans and continents in search of glory, riches, and power. Let us tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hello and welcome back to High Adventure. We are on a boat, as they say. After our last session, the brothers had gotten to know some of the crew on board the ship and had done a little bit of exploring, a couple of the brothers, and had found some interesting things. And you guys had reconvened back in your shared cabin on the ship and spent some time reflecting and talking. Cade and Shao, you had picked up your brother who had passed out on the floor near the door and tucked him into bed for the night and left a flask of water next to his bedside. And in the morning, you all awaken. And Shao, you find yourself in bed. You're not really sure how that happened, but you have a headache and you're also hungry. So the ship is rocking. Like you are on some seas. Like you can feel the motion. All three of you. So you guys wake up, throw on some clothes, and you can faintly smell the whiff of some kind of food coming from the mess hall.
Brothers, shall we go eat?
I think so. Pretty hungry.
Is Shao awake?
What
Look
happened?
over.
What
Brother.
happened?
You had quite a night, brother.
It was very fun and inviting. I'm thirsty. Where's my rice wine?
Try this water first.
Water.
It gets the day started. Did you at least win money?
I think I did.
Do you remember?
I remember gambling and drinking and having a good time. And then you said water. That was not enticing.
I apologize, brother, but it is necessary.
Okay, I guess it's
Cade,
time to get up.
Cade, you are pretty sure that you could cure your brother's hangover if you wanted to. That I leave that to you, but you're familiar with the process of curing hangovers.
This time, instead of using cure wounds, I just do a slight hand motion and I whisper like a word, and I use healing word.
Okay.
I noticed that Shao tries to grab his bottle of rice wine instead of the flask of water, and using sleight of hand, I switch them back.
Very good.
26.
Shao, you take a swig of your rice wine, you realize it's water, but at the same time, oddly, you suddenly feel better. Your headache is gone.
It's magical water, brother.
Okay.
Must have vitamins for you.
I guess this is really good. And I chug it down.
You chug the water down, you feel refreshed, you feel better. And the three of you head out of your cabin, rocking back and forth. And you get to the mess and you see a small number of the sailors quickly woofing down food. And they kind of are finishing up as you guys come in. And you feel pretty good about this. You sit down and the ship's still rocking back and forth. And Zhao Chen comes over to you three and he's like, Oh, good morning, my lords. I have some bowls. Be careful. You'll have to hold them on the table. The ship's going through a rocky patch now. We are moving along quite quickly. So you guys enjoy your breakfast. And after breakfast, you go up, down the hall, and you see your mother and your sister. And they are dressed, and it looks like they've already had breakfast. And your mother looks at you, and she says, "Good morning, my sons. We are truly moving along quite well, it would seem, by the rocking of the ship."
You're not ill, are you, Mother?
Well, I was a little bit nauseous this morning, but I seem to have a little more stability after that rather modest breakfast.
You've found your sea legs, then?
Perhaps. I was going to go upstairs to the deck and take a look. Would you like to join us, my sons?
I would love to. Brothers?
Your sister Lima
Yeah.
is also dressed, and she's like, "Yes, let's go upstairs. I want to see what the ocean looks like."
I'm gonna go back to the room for just a moment, and I'm going to cast Druidcraft to see what the weather's going to be like for the next 24 hours.
Ooh, nice.
To create
Right.
a tiny, harmless sensory effect that predicts the weather.
You have a prediction that the weather is going to be clear for this day.
Okay, that's it.
So you guys all go upstairs onto the deck with your mother and your sister, and you immediately upon coming up on the deck, you are greeted by some cool air. Now it's still a sunny day, but there's definitely a difference being this far away from the continent and this far out into the sea. And the ship is moving along at quite a good pace, and the air is kind of blowing through your hair as you hit the deck. The sailors are all, bustling around, doing their different jobs, manning their different positions. You look up to the helm, and you see Captain Fu up there with the navigator and the helmsman, and he kind of seems to be finishing up something regarding navigation, and he comes down and greets you all, and he's like, "Good morning, and how is the Zhen family doing? I assume you have all been fed?"
We
Good
are
morning,
working.
Captain.
Yes, very good, very good. Well, you are free to enjoy some fresh air if you so desire. It looks as if we have very good weather. We're making great speeds towards our destination. So I only ask that if you do stay up on deck, stay close to this area so you don't get in the way of any of my crew as they are working.
Captain, can you tell us how much longer the journey is?
Oh, well, quite a bit longer. If the seas are kind and our fortunes are blessed, we could make it to Nisia in another probably 12 days.
Sounds wonderful,
Well.
Captain.
Yes. Well, enjoy the weather. And he nods and he bows.
Shall we
So
leave?
he kind of walks away. Your mother and your sister kind of enjoy the air, and they kind of go over by along the railing, and they're just kind of watching the ocean as it goes by. And occasionally you guys see dolphins kind of swimming, not, maybe 30, 40 yards out. But other than that, it's pretty uneventful.
I walk
Riley-
over to the rail next to Mother.
She seems to enjoy having all of you there, and she suggests, after a while, maybe you're up there for like an hour or so just kind of hanging out, she suggests maybe you should all go play some games. So you guys go down to the room, and she brings out an old family set, and you begin playing some dice games and stuff just for fun. And That's kind of how the day goes, and the next day, and the next day after that. And about a week goes by. Now, in that downtime, you are free to do whatever you desire. But each day at sea is kind of a mix. Some days the weather's nice. Other days it's kind of storming and there's rain and you guys are kind of stuck below deck the whole day. But what would you like to do in the first week of downtime? I will go around and kind of ask each one of you. Cade, what are you doing in this first week of travel at sea?
Couple things, I guess. One thing I would do is I would like to ask my brothers when it's just us in our rooms at some point, what other languages have they picked up in the meantime, in the past 4 years? If they choose to share it at all.
I can answer that question in part. And this is kind of a meta thing for the setting. So you guys are Sacuran, which means your common tongue is Sacuran. You have not learned any other languages yet, because other than you, Cade, you've picked up Druidic. But the rest of you guys haven't learned any of your other languages yet. You do know, however, that Nisia has a regional kind of trade language, okay? Because Nisia is a nexus between many other continents and cultures, there's kind of a lingua franca, like a common language of Nicean that is spoken there. And certainly you guys could learn some of the Nicean lingo and vocabulary from the sailors on board the ship, if that's things that you would like to do during your downtime.
Okay. I'll do that then. And then what else was I gonna do? Oh, I would be like just keeping an eye out for any aquatic animals, or even finding if there's any books on the ship, which I doubt. But like trying to study animals that are within my environment, just for my own future reference.
So in terms of animals, I mean, there are some that you see. Occasionally you guys will, as the ship's, moving through the ocean, you will see dolphins, you'll see sharks, you'll see whales, but nothing, particularly, at least at the surface level, other than that. I mean, you will from time to time see, schools of ocean fish kind of passing by the ship. But that's about it in terms of ocean dwelling creatures that are visible from the ship.
Yeah, there's not much else going on.
There is that you guys did see when you and Shao went into the cargo hold, you know that there's at least one cat, and you surmise maybe more, who kind of catch mice and rats and stuff.
Gotcha.
Brother Cade, can you transform into that likeness of that cat?
Yes, I could. And if, say we're in the room at some point, and I'll wild shape into the cat that I saw.
Okay.
That may come in very handy.
Yeah.
So, Cade, other than, just kind of socializing with some of the crew and learning a little bit of the Nicean trade language and kind of taking account of the oceanic life that is around the ship during your passage, you keep yourself pretty busy during that first week, kind of doing all of those things. Shao, what do you kind of focus on during that first week of passage while you're on board the ship?
I take my time and I learn every nook and cranny of this ship. Everything detailed, and memorize it so that I know where every hallway is, every doorway, every employee, every crew member. I study the crew and I learn their tactics and I learn their mannerisms, and I spend my time training because I know something is going to happen.
Okay. Interacting with the crew, you also kind of have an opportunity to learn a little bit about the Nicean trade language. And like your brother, you come to understand that it's a mix of several different cultural languages. And there are also some Sacuran words that are in the Nisian trade language. So you even recognize some of the more common phrases that include Sacuran into the languages. You get to know the crew. You kind of listen to and even kind of pick up their speech patterns, their voices, their behaviors. You can explore all over the ship. The only place that you really don't have access to is the captain's cabin. That door is locked and there's always a guard outside of it. Shao, what do you do for your first week at sea?
Well, I think so far everything is going well, but I kind of don't know my little sister very well. So I think I'm going to get to know her a little bit better. Okay. I want to feel her out for, what her thoughts are. Maybe pick her brain on stuff that I have missed all this time that I've been gone. I think that I need to kind of reconnect and find out what's going on as far as her side of it. And again, just to kind of feel everything out about her. And with doing that, I think that's going to give me a lot of information on the stuff that I missed out. So I'm try that first.
You actually do. You spend a lot of time with her, playing games, talking, kind of walking around the ship. Your general, what you derive is that your sister Li Mei is excited. She's excited to go on this adventure, and she's always eager to kind of like learn what's going on board the ship. And the rest of the crew has been very kind to her and kind of patient with her. And, they've been showing her how to do different, rope use and knots and kind of like some of the sailor skills. She's hung out by the helm and chatted with the navigator. So she really enjoys this adventure. She's a young person who's excited to see this, new world. You also glean that, like you, she was not super excited about the idea of being put into an arranged marriage, and that she's really kind of happy that this, family move to Nisia is going to kind of buy her some time to avoid being put into an arranged marriage by your father. You don't get the impression that she thinks that this will be something she can avoid forever. Like, she acknowledges to you, she confides in you. At one point she's like, I do not think that I will have the strength or will to defy father when the time comes, like you did, brother. You are strong and your choice was bold, but I know that I will have to marry at some point. I would just like to wait a little while longer so I can enjoy some things in my life. But when the time comes, I will have to marry, as father has made arrangements.
Little sister, I will do whatever it takes to protect you and allow you to make those decisions. I think it's in everybody's right to have that opportunity. So don't be discouraged. We will do what it takes to keep you away from an estranged or a possible arranged marriage to someone that you don't love. And with that said, I guide her down to the galley and see if I can get myself some rice wine.
So, and that like the conversations that you have, this like is stuff that kind of goes over a week. In the remaining time as well, she actually asks you about like the way that you have studied in your martial arts, and she's like interested, and she's like, I want to be strong like you. I want to know how to defend myself. And so you kind of teach her about like stances and redirecting your opponent and blocking and stuff. And you kind of begin to teach her some of these things, how to escape from holds and that sort of thing. And she's an eager student, and you find that she's like a quick learner. She picks up a lot of information in an incredibly fast amount of time. Like you're actually kind of shocked, because you remember when you were sent to the monastery, and you and the group of students who were studying with your master, she has surpassed many of them in a matter of 1 week. She's like kind of mastered the basic skills that would have taken like a month or two from other people. So you see that she's like very, athletic and kind of a very fast learner.
Very good, my sister. You show very well promise on the arts.
She's just happy. She just seems to soak up everything about this ocean voyage and all the interesting people and the skills and everything that she can.
We will continue our training together as this voyage goes on. And I think you will master a lot of the traits that you need to be able to survive on your own. And then I take my leave from her, and I kind of go down to the galley, like I said before, and see if maybe I can run into Lin Shu, I believe his name was, the man that I had the gambling privilege of, where he beat me.
Yeah.
I want to see if I can reestablish some kind of communication with him and feel him out, and see if he would be a worthy advocate to follow us to our adventure. See if I can get him to hire for our family. He seems to be promising to.
So I'm going to say that this kind of happens, almost like a Saturday night, right? Like you guys have been at sea for a week, and, after dinner, your mother and sister have kind of retired for the evening, and the three of you are hanging out in the mess with some of the crew who are like off duty, and you guys are kind of having drinks, and people are playing games, no heavy gambling or anything like that, but just kind of socializing basically with the crew. They're kind of joking with you guys. They're teaching you some phrases in Nisian, in the trade language, and you see that there's a couple of the recognizable faces, Lin Shu being one of them. And, he's kind of a jovial guy. He's playing games with people and having drinks, and, they break into some arm wrestling, just kind of different, activities. Zhao Chen, the cook, is, he's kind of cleaning up the pots and pans. But that if you want to buy a bottle of wine, you can buy. He kind of keeps a reserve that he sells to make a little extra money on the side. As Lin Shu is at the table with you and your brothers, he says, "You brothers seek your fortune in Nisia. It is a place of opportunity." He's like, "I've made this trip with Captain Fu. Well, I think this is my 8th trip. Nisia's, there are many different kinds of islands. There are some larger, some smaller, some that have been colonized and have full, towns and established leadership, and some that are a little bit more, shall we say, wild. There's all kinds there. It is truly a melting pot." He says, "Have you ever seen anybody from any of the other continents?" And he kind of smiles. He's like, you will be in for a surprise. There are many different kinds of peoples amongst the islands of Nisia, some of which will shock you in their appearances. But you will also find many of our people, many Sacurans, as we were amongst the first to begin colonizing these islands and to begin developing them. It is why many of our words and phrases are part of their trade language.
That makes sense. Do you know what other types of people we will find in Nisia?
Well, there are many. Of course, the Suineist, they claim that they were the first to find the islands. They are boat people. They are travelers. The Suineist, they often have information. They often know how to acquire things. But they are shrewd negotiators. And sometimes if a person is foolish, they will not miss an opportunity to cheat them. But the Suineist, they are found everywhere. They are probably the most populous. And then there are the fair-skinned, the Iraqi folk. They too come from far away, but they are big. Usually big men. Fair-skinned, large round eyes, blue in color, often, sometimes green. The Iraqi, I feel like they sometimes can be quick to anger.
It appears to me that it is a nice melting pot of many different cultures.
Yes, one could say. Then there are the Boreans. They are darker of skin than us. Some say that they wield great magics, that they could speak with spirits. I have found them to be honorable, as long as you don't insult them. They are very hospitable people.
Speaking of honorable, how well do you know Captain Fu?
I have served with Captain Fu, for maybe 4 years now. I've made 6 journeys to Nisia with Captain Fu. My first 2 journeys to Nisia were not with Captain Fu, and they were dangerous journeys. My second journey, the ship got lost at sea during a storm, and we were off course and afloat for an extra week and nearly running out of food. Fortunately, we made it to Nisia, but in the 6 journeys that I have been on with Captain Fu, we have never been off course. He is a shrewd captain.
And how is he? Do you sense any ill from this man? Do you think that his path is self-sustaining, or does he just work? Does he have other involvements? Have you seen him do other things other than journey on these long voyages?
Captain Fu is an honorable man. If he were not, he would not be commissioned and hired by some of the most powerful noble families. He's developed a reputation for being able to make the journey to Nisia and back without difficulties or delays. He is among the finest captains. That's why this ship is as well equipped as it is. He is also very well versed in defense of his ship and has successfully fended off pirates many times. Min Zhou is our navigator. He is very astute. His knowledge of the stars is unparalleled. And I believe that Min Zhou and Captain Fu were, when in their youth, they grew up together. They have sailed together dozens and dozens of times, even before Captain Fu won the commission for the Celestial Queen, our ship.
When did he win the ship?
I think maybe 6 or 8 years ago. I was not among his original crew. I came on later, but
Brothers, I think we need to convene and have a conversation.
Okay.
so you guys kind of finish your drinks and go back to your room.
There is something, I don't know if the magic that we detected below was guidance to keep the ship safe, or some type of other magic, a nefarious type of magic. We need to discover if there are ulterior motives, if there is corruption. We need to seek it out now while we are here in this confined space.
I agree. It's very odd that he gets commissioned 6 to 8 years ago, according to Lin Shu. And then all of a sudden, this ship has never failed to stay on course. But yet before, prior to his ability to come on deck, the ship has always journeyed and was always lost or deviated from its course. So to what you're saying, there might be some truth. Investigations, I leave it up to you two brothers. It's not my forte. I'm too visible to partake in something like this. So I leave it up to you guys to continue this with caution. With caution.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We don't want to attract anything to our family, especially sister and mother. We don't want to put them in harm's way on this small ship. As grand as it is, it's still small and we can be acquired very easily. So,
Cade, do you have any ideas on how we can discover more information?
Well, with some of my abilities, I could probably sneak around at night, as I've already shown you. But honestly, is it really worth investigating? If he's been getting this ship safely to and from Nisia, then what worry do we really have? While I'm very interested in that ring that we found, I don't have the skills to really tell me what it is. I didn't recognize the metal. I didn't recognize any of the characters on it. But if it's not doing us any harm, then what's really the point of doing anything?
I would like to speak to Captain Fu directly.
Okay.
About? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking me.
I'm wondering if you think that that is a bad idea. I won't do anything to put us in harm's way, but I will ask him to be honest with me.
I'll leave it to you.
Do you seek out Captain Fu this very night?
No, I'll wait until morning.
Okay. So in the morning, same as usual, today's weather is pretty fair. You guys, have breakfast, and at a certain point, Shao, you seek out Captain Fu. You find him kind of checking in with the different crew members and leaders, the navigator, the quartermaster, the first mate, kind of giving the orders for the day, and you kind of wait your turn, and then he comes to you and he's like, "Yes, Mr. Zhen, how can I help you?"
Captain Fu, thank you for taking this audience with me. I am curious. I have heard many tales that before taking over this vessel, it had run into many foul occurrences. Can you tell me how you've been so successful?
Well, he says, "Come, let us have a drink in my quarters." So you go below deck. He walks down the hall. You see the guard that's outside of his room, and he nods, and he pulls out his key and unlocks the door, and he opens it up. And it's basically a cabin about the same size as the one that you share with your brothers. You see his bed there, and you see basically a table that he's kind of made into a desk. And it's built into the wall and kind of like nailed into the floor. And there's like a rim of like wood trim around the table so that things don't just like slide off. And he has you see a bunch of papers kind of on his desk. You see a little wooden bowl, and that's kind of like secured to the desk, and he's got like an inkwell in there and a quill. And you see there's also a couple chairs. So he gestures for you to sit down, and he pulls out some rice wine and pours it out into a small cup and gives it to you, and pours himself some. And he raises a toast and drinks some to you. And he says, I have been on the seas almost all my life, sailing around Sacura. As a young man, I served in the Imperial Navy. I learned to fight against pirates, but also against more ominous foes. As you may or may not know, there are dangerous things that lurk in the sea. And I served as a crew member for 10 years. And after my service to the Imperial Navy, I began working as a first mate aboard a variety of ships, private enterprise ships, which I did again for many years. I served in different capacities. Of course, I studied a little bit of navigation, but my knowledge of the stars is not as astute as my friend Minzu. He truly has a knowledge of the charts and of navigational tools. But I learned my way around the ship after many years. And when the first Sacuran trade ships began going to the colonies of Nisia, I was a young boy. But growing up in the Navy, growing up in working for different private companies, I began as a crew member making the journey. And I remember those early days. Even decades into the establishment of the colonies, it was still very dangerous to travel to Nisia. Very dangerous indeed. Attacks by sea creatures, attacks by pirates were very common. And whether by fortune or fate, I survived many of those ill-fated encounters, even a shipwreck or two. And I proved myself as a first mate on board a ship about 8 years ago. It was a ship that was owned by and financed by the Osari clan. And we were going to deliver resources to one of their colonies in Nisia. We were attacked by a very powerful sea creature. The ship was almost smashed. I was fortunate to be able to harpoon this sea creature, stabbing my harpoon through its eye.
Insight to make sure he's telling the truth.
Go ahead.
Nat 20.
All right.
Ooh, boy.
You feel like he's telling the truth. And he says, I was very fortunate to land my shot, stabbing my harpoon through its eye. The creature slid in death off of the ship, but its damage had been done. The mast was destroyed. The ship was floating, but there was no way to sail. And it was only by fortune that we managed to sail close enough to Nisia where another ship could tow us into a harbor. But nonetheless, though the ship had sustained great damage, it could be repaired, and more importantly, the cargo owned by the Osari clan was able to be delivered. I was rewarded with a commission to be the captain of this ship. And I have sailed the ship.
Well earned, sir.
Yes, I have sailed this ship a dozen times.
You seem to be very honorable. I wonder, however, if you will be forthcoming with me, as you do not know me that well.
I have been forthcoming. You have asked me for my story, and I have shared it, young man.
And I appreciate your story. I wonder, have you ever come across magic in the seas?
Of course. Yes.
And what has
It
your
is said that
experience
there are
been?
places in Nisia that are alive. Places where the spirits inhabit things, trees, water, stone. I
see.
believe in magic because I have seen it.
Have you used it?
No. I do not know the powers of unlocking magic. I have seen it used. I have seen men hurl flaming balls at other ships. There are pirates who employ wizards who can cast terrible spells and effects upon the ships they are attacking, calling down lightning from the sky itself, from the storms, hurling balls of flame. I have
Now,
seen it used.
yes, I too have seen magic. I have a question, and I pray you don't take this the wrong way. Do you load your own freight onto your vessel?
My men load all of the freight in the harbor, yes.
Very well. Based on his comment about not ever using magic, I want to insight check that.
Okay.
18.
He seems to be telling the truth.
I thank you for taking this time to meet with me, Captain. I'd like to know whose care my mother and sister are in.
Your father. He must be an honorable man, for he gained the trust of the Osari clan and has been partnered with them. There are no finer ships that make the passage to Nisia than this very ship, the Celestial Queen. You and your family will be safer on this ship going to Nisia than any other ship. And if anything were to happen, I assure you that my men and I have faced foes and prevailed. And I would never abandon any guests on my ship. They hold the highest seat of honor. I would give my own life to ensure their safety.
We appreciate you for all you have done and continue to keep us safe on our journey.
You
I
are
bow.
quite welcome. He bows.
I go back to my brothers
Okay.
and report back. Brothers, I spoke with Captain Fu, and I do believe him when he says that he has never tampered with magic. He does not know how to wield it, nor do I think that the ring belongs to him. I believe someone may have tampered with the crate, or one of his crewmen that loaded it, or someone close to him that has access to his things. But based on my conversation with him, he appeared to be telling me the truth about not knowing of magic. He knows of magic, he's seen it, he's witnessed it, but he is not familiar with it, nor can he wield it.
And what do you think we should do with that item that we saw? We just leave it?
We need to find out more about it. We need to find out what it is actually doing. But I don't know how.
Can we track it? Can we put a mark on this box? And when we get to our destination,
So I can
see where it
answer.
goes.
I can answer part of that. Since
Okay.
Cho spent downtime kind of scouring the ship, occasionally when you would go in the cargo hold, you see that nothing's moved. Like all of the crates, the majority of the crates are marked as like the property of the Osari clan, and your family's personal crates are there, and even the crate marked with Captain Fu's family emblem is there. Nothing is moved. It looks like the only thing that you find when you don't go down to the cargo hold is the black cat and occasionally some mice. That's it.
Well, my whole point about the tracking of the box is when we get off the ship, see where it actually goes as far as the destination, right? Because if it deviates from our location with our items, obviously they're not going to be there, so it will go some other destination. We can pursue this box and find out exactly what the Osari has done, because it could be a tracking box. It could be placed in there for a reason. I don't know. That's my opinion.
So you guys kind of review these bits of information. The course of the rest of the day, beautiful weather. The next couple days, stormy. The day after that, beautiful weather. The day after that, again, beautiful weather. And you guys spend time with your family. You spend time with the crew in this downtime, in this, second week at sea. You learn more of the Nicean trade language. And Captain Fu tells you that he estimates that you are only about 3 days away from Nisia. So the crew all seem to be in good spirits. There's a lot of the sailors are talking about how excited they are, that, when they get into the harbor, they can't wait to get on land and go to a real inn and, party. They're all really excited. Cade.
Yeah. When the conversation gets to about tracking the object, Cade has an idea. He can use a certain spell to keep an eye on an object if it's within a certain amount of distance with himself. So once a day, he'll actually see if it's moved around at all, and that's locate object. And it's just a 10-minute spell for concentration, but I can sense where the object is within 1,000 feet. If the object is in motion, I know its direction of movement.
So for that to work, you have to become familiar with it. Now, I'm okay with you becoming more familiar with it if you and Shao go back to the cargo hold, open up the box, and you kind of like study the ring and take a short rest to attune to it. Is that something that you want to do?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Minus the poison.
Cade, is that something you want to do?
Sorry, I had a personal moment from memory with objects. Yes, I'll do that.
Okay. So you guys, one of these days while you're in the second week at sea, you go down to the cargo hold, you pick the lock. The trap is not active. I mean, there's no poison smoke that blows out at you. So it's pretty easy now that Shao knows how this lock works. He gets the box open. You pull out all the cloth and the false bottom, and you see the ring. You take your time to study the ring. And although you still don't know the writing on the ring or what this weird metal is, you do attune to it and you begin to understand its magical properties. This is a ring of water breathing. You feel after taking an hour or two of studying this that if you were to wear this ring, you would be able to breathe underwater.
Brother,
Share that information with Shao.
This ring will come in handy to you. You can see all of the creatures.
So not only do you understand its magical properties, but now when you cast Locate Object, you can make sure that you know where it is, as long as it's within 1,000 feet of you. So right. I assume that you put the ring back and reset the lock and all that? Okay.
Yes.
So like the next day, you just cast Locate Object, still in the box. Day after that, you cast Locate Object, still in the box. Day after that, cast locate object, still in the box. So now we get to where I was, where you're about 10 days into the journey, and Captain Fu tells the crew that we're about 2 days out, possibly 3, from Nisia, and the crew's like celebrating. One night you guys are having dinner. There's gambling, there's games, there's drinks, all sorts of fun, and the ship begins to rock a little more than it was. Like, not like something hit it, but like the waves are getting heavier, and one of the sailors runs out, and he comes back about 5 minutes later, and he's like, "Well, boys, finish your drinks. We got a heavy storm coming in." And they're like, "Oh man," so they finish their drinks, and everybody kind of like scatters off to their crew positions. And you guys can feel that this storm is definitely rocking the ship. Like, there's a lot of moving back and forth. And Shao and Cade, you guys are kind of getting your sea legs because you haven't hit this much turbulence in terms of the ship rocking back and forth so far during your journey. Shao Zhen, you're just kind of fluid, and you're actually, because you're pretty inebriated already, you're just kind of going with the flow, and the ship rocking back and forth doesn't really seem to have an impact on your oldest brother, guys. So what do you guys do? You're currently in the mess hall. There's definitely a storm outside. You can actually hear thunder, but you're still below deck.
Make sure that mother and sister are safe in the room.
Yeah, so you go down the hall, and actually that they were tired for the night, but you knock on the door. Your sister answers the door, and she's like holding the door. She's in her nightgown, and she's like, "What's going on, brother?" She's like, "Is there a storm? It sounds like there's a storm outside."
Yes, little sister, it's just a storm. I just want to come and check on you and mother and make sure you're okay.
And she turns, and you see behind her, you see your mother sleeping, and she's like, "Mother's sleeping. I'm going to try to go back to sleep." And
Good sister.
She smiles at you and kind of rubs the sand out of her eyes and goes back, closes the door and goes back to sleep. Shao, and Cade, you guys are, other than the guard that's down the hall, standing outside of Captain Fu's door, you guys are the only people who are awake. The other family that is traveling with you, you guys have seen them throughout the trip, but they're all basically in their rooms because it was late at night. So what do you guys want to do while the storm is raging?
Well,
I'm gonna be on top.
Go ahead, Cade.
I'm just gonna be on the top deck. I want to experience the storm.
Oh, all right. Shao Zhen?
I lean over to Cho and I have a conversation with him. We are nearing the end of our travels, it seems. Once we overcome this storm, I think it'll be smooth sailing. But do you think, brother, that we need to secure company for the rest of the adventure? We don't know what's on the other side when we land. And are we capable of going to our destination? And will there be any kind of support system for our family once we arrive?
I feel that everything seems to be on the up and up. I'm actually quite confused because my gut is telling me something quite the opposite. But everything that we have investigated, everything that we have seeked out, everything appears to be on the up and up. I think we need to speak with the Osari clan member again.
Do you think that it may be that what we have seen so far has been there on purpose to mask alternative motives? Because I too have a gut feeling that there's something more to this. It's just too easy and too pre-made to make it feel that we are secured and we have this safety net around us. On this ship, there's really nothing that possibly can happen to us. according to what you said by Captain Fu's remarks. But once we land, what will become? Has
That is-
Father said anything of a prearrangement of meeting anybody there to guide us to where we need to go?
Well, you guys know that supposedly when you're dropped off at the island of Amron, you have all the paperwork and your father's the deeds to the land that he's bought, as well as the deed to the property to the land in the village of Drak, where your family's household would be built. And don't forget that you guys each one of you has a fat sack of gold, which is supposed to finance the construction of your family's home in the village so that you guys can get established. So as you guys are kind of chatting, Cade, smash cut over to you. You go up the stairs and it is pouring rain. And this is like monsoon level rain, right? Just thick rain. And you could hear, the sound of the rain just all over the ship, and the crew is just working, trying to handle everything, and the ship's rocking back and forth, and just sheets of rain and occasionally flashes of lightning in the sky and the sound of thunder. And you see Captain Fu up by the helm, and the helmsman's struggling. And you see the navigator, Min Zhu, is basically kind of pointing off in a direction. You hear them arguing about something, and Captain Fu's bring down the sails, bring down, and he's barking off orders and stuff, and they're kind of making adjustments. But the ship's basically riding it out, and you see virtually nothing 10 feet in front of you, except when the lightning flashes. You could see out in the ocean, and you see huge waves, just turbulent seas. But that's kind of what's going on up above on the deck.
I take this time to take my leave for my brothers, and I go and I prepare a Captain Fu outfit, as it were.
Okay.
And I prepare myself, and I go to his quarters.
All right, that's going to take you some time. So, Cade, what are you doing on deck?
I cast Enhance Ability on myself, and the aspect I use is Cat's Grace. So I have advantage on any dexterity checks. This is concentration up to an hour. Just to, give myself a lot more sure footing on this deck while the storm's raging.
Yeah. And you definitely need it. It's slippery. I mean, there's water sloshing across the deck. The crew members are all kind of struggling at their positions. You see that some of them that are closer to the sails and the masts have tied themselves off to the main mast, in case they slip, they don't want to go overboard. And a lot of them seem to have done this. But this definitely enhances your ability to kind of keep your footing as you're up there.
I stay out of their way. I know I'm not really going to be helping with anything. I just want to keep an eye out for anything.
Okay. And you do. You kind of stay up there for a little bit. Make a perception check.
Okay.
We haven't rolled dice in a while. Make a perception check.
That's not the best. 13.
Okay. So as I said, because the rain is coming down in such intensity, it really limits your view. But occasionally you'll get these flashes of lightning that kind of illuminate more. And it's almost like out of the corner of your eye, out in the sea, maybe 100 feet away, you just catch something in the water, something big, whale size big.
If it matters, my passive is actually 16, if it does at all.
Okay, well, then I'll say passively you catch this, right? But it's just, literally like a flash, because it's just for the duration of the lightning. And you see something dark and large kind of swimming alongside the ship. But then it like, the next lightning flash, you look out there and it's not there. So you kind of like see it, and then next lightning flash, you don't see it.
Just keep an eye out then.
Okay. Shao Zhen, your brother Cade is up on deck. Your brother Cho has gone back to his room, to your room. What are you doing during this time, during the storm?
Well, I think I'm going to remain in the mess hall and continue my rice wine drinking and maybe spark a conversation with the cook.
Okay. Yeah, actually, it's just you and Zhao Chen, the cook, and he's basically like, you see him like trying to put away pots and pans and wooden bowls and stuff, and like the stuff keeps falling out of the shelves, so he'll like pick everything up and put it in the shelves and try to like close the cabinet door, and he has like twine that he's using to like keep the cabinet doors from flying open, and he's like, damn it. And you hear like his big like half barrel that he uses to like clean the dishes, the water's just sloshing around.
I'll get up and go give him my hand. I think that would be honorable of me to do this.
Okay.
And gain his trust a little bit more.
Yeah. So you kind of help him out. He gets everything secured and put away, and then he's just kind of like, he's like standing at the counter, like kind of anchoring his arm on the counter and standing next to you and talking, and you're like kind of flowing with the vibe, and you like kind of move your cup of wine back and forth, and you'll take a drink and kind of set it down and spin it around. You just feel very confident about your ability, and he's just kind of chatting with you, and he's like, I had a feeling that we wouldn't get through this journey without at least one bad storm. The seas are unpredictable, but he's like, I've been on my share of journeys, and you almost never make it to Nisia without at least one bad storm, but we'll weather it, don't you worry. This ship is sturdy. And as he's saying that, you hear a sound, like a loud, like thumping sound from below, like a crashing sound. Cho, you also hear this sound from below. Sounds like it's from like the cargo hold. You hear this loud, like really loud thump, and the ship kind of like rocks a little bit. Cade, up on the deck, you don't hear anything. Neither does any of the crew. Neither does Captain Fu, because you got the sound of thunder and the rain pounding on the deck and the crewmen shouting. So you don't really hear any of this. But Shao Zhen, you and Cho both hear this loud thump from below.
Does it feel like it's coming from within the vessel or outside of the vessel?
You don't know. You just heard it.
And at the lowest level, when I was investigating the ship, did I notice that were there any port windows or anything that I could look out into the ocean below?
No. The cargo hold is sealed up. That's underwater.
Okay, so,
but as you're in your room, Cho, the waves are so high that they are hitting the windows, which is a good 20 feet above the surface of the ocean. They're hitting the windows and splashing up against the windows where you are.
I get up, I move away from the mess hall, and I go to Cho, and I say, brother, did you hear that noise?
When you go in, you see your brother is like putting this putty on his nose, and like he has like this mustache of horsehair, and he's like adjusting it, and he looks over to you, and you notice that he has like this strange cap on that makes him look bald, almost like Captain Fu. And he kind of like looks at you, and he's like,
brother, what is this? What are you doing?
I feel I have some explaining to do, brother. I am a master of disguise, and I will infiltrate the captain's room to see if I can find out where the Ansari room is located, and to see if there's anything that I missed in our meeting. But there's no way I can gain entrance without interference, without taking on his persona.
Do you think this is wise at this time? There's a major storm and that noise was a little bit more than waves crashing on the ship.
Yes, it was. I feel that this is very bad timing, as a matter of fact. I don't believe I can undress fast enough to attend to the noises. Can you please go below deck and discover what that sound is while I go into Captain Fu's room, and then we will meet together as I change back into my own clothing.
I lean in on you and I say, you must be very careful on the next few things that you do because you don't know where Captain Fu is. We're assuming he's above deck with everybody else attending to the ship. But if he comes down, it will cause a lot of problems for us and our family.
Yes, it will.
And I exit out the room and I head towards downstairs to the cargo area.
Okay. You go out the room, you go down the stairs, and even with your adept dexterity and your acrobatic ability, it's rocking, right? Like, and you're feeling this as you're going down the stairs, and you get down to the cargo hold, and I'm going to say that you would have had the forethought to bring a lantern because it's pitch black. So you have a lantern.
Okay.
You have some visibility. You see water, trickle of water across the floor of the cargo hold. Ooh. And you see on one of the walls, there seems to be water kind of coming in, not bursting through, right? But just like the hull has been somewhat damaged here, and their water's trickling through across the floor. And you also see the black cat, like with like a dead mouse in its mouth, but it's up on the cargo, like up on one of the crates, and it's like looking at you with the dead mouse.
Do I notice with all the swaying going on right now on the ship, is any of the cargo shifting?
No, the cargo is all there are like boards that kind of keep the cargo in place.
Okay.
So none of it's not so bad that like crates are flipping over or anything like that, but there's definitely water.
So I go to the location where the water's coming in, and do I notice that it was the protrusion to allow this water to come in? Is it coming from outside in?
Yes, it looks like something, because the boards are kind of coming in towards you, like something hit this, and it didn't blast through it, but it hit it, and there's water.
Okay, with no haste, I back up and I go back to the top. I think I need to inform.
The cat drops its mouse and it follows you. It seems to not like this water, and it follows you upstairs.
Well, am I able to grab the cat?
I don't know if the cat wants to be grabbed. Make an acrobatic roll. Make an acrobatic roll. It's not like a house cat. Like it's kind of like how feral cats look. Like it's kind of mangy looking, and it's got scars. But
all right, so I rolled a 14 plus 6 is a 20. So
yeah, you get it. The cat's like
and head up to the top, and then I let it loose on the galley side where
it runs off towards the mess hall, smelling some food. All right, you go up the stairs. You get to the top of the stairs, sheets of rain. You're immediately soaked. You see about 10 feet away, that's as far as you could see, you see your brother Cade, and he's like holding on to one of the posts and kind of rocking back and forth, and he sees you. Above you, you see Captain Fu and the navigator and the helmsman and 2 of the crew members. And you see crew members occasionally, but like very limited vision. And the sheets of rain just coming down. Every once in a while, you'll see lightning flash where you could kind of see more for just a split second. You see crew members like rocking back and forth, a lot of them tied down by rope, and just the ship's rocking back and forth. Cade, you see your brother Shao Zhen kind of run up and like look around in confusion, and then he sees you and comes over.
Brother.
I'll run over to my
brother.
Go ahead.
We have bigger problems than this this turbulent weather. We need to inform Captain Fu that we have a breach in the cargo area.
Breach.
Water's
all
coming
right.
in.
Let's go.
So you guys run up, and you get up by the helm, and Captain Fu sees you, and he's like, my lords, you should be below deck. This storm is very fierce, but rest assured, we'll make it through.
We have bigger problems, sir. We have a breach in the cargo hold. We have water coming in.
Breach? Cargo? Water? What? He's like, stay on course. Minzu, tell them. He goes, show me. And he's like, you two, come. And two of the crew members follow Captain Fu, who follows you. And you guys go back down to the cargo hold. You get there, and he sees it, and he's like, damn it. He's like, you two, go upstairs and get some pitch. Seal this up, quickly. They're like, yes, sir. And they run upstairs. A few moments later, they come back down with this bucket, and it's steaming. And they start slathering this up in this crack. And they kind of put another board over it, and they nail it in, and then they slather more of this stuff, and they're kind of trying to seal it up with this kind of tarry substance. And Captain Fu is like, he's kind of monitoring that, and he kind of like, at a certain point, he looks over to you, Shao Zhen, and he's like, I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. How did you know about this?
I was in the galley, and we heard this enormous noise coming from below deck. I figured it was maybe cargo shifting. But once I approached the area, I saw that the cargo was intact, and it was not moving about. And what I noticed was maybe ankle-deep water coming, and I investigated, and I found the crack. It looks like maybe we hit something, or something hit us.
You see his change, like his demeanor changes immediately, and he's like, there are no rocks or islands in this area. This is not good. We must inform the rest of the crew. There could be sea creatures of great size. Prepare your brothers and your family. This could get rocky. He's like, he runs upstairs.
I follow up with him. I go to family room, and I inform mother and sister to be ready. So I make sure that they're dressed.
They're like shocked by what they're like. Ready for what? What do you mean? And like your mother's like, what's going on, my son?
I in a calm voice, I say, we're okay, but the storm has turned tides on us, and I want you to be ready for anything. So gather your belongings, have it ready to go. Wear double clothing.
Your mother nods, and she barks off an order to your sister, and then as you're leaving, she goes out to the hallway with you, and she says, my son, what about our family's wealth? What about the coins?
I'll leave you in charge of that. And I don't know if Cade is with us right now, or
I'm gonna assume yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cade?
I'm with you.
Okay.
So
she looks at both of you, and she's like, my do you think that we're going to be shipwrecked? I don't want to scare your sister, but
I don't think so, Mother, but be on the safe side. Cade, I'm sorry, brother. There's a lot on my mind. Can you stay with the family here and protect them and be at the ready if we need to move? And then I run down to the hall, to our room, and I knock on the door really loudly to give them a heads up. And then I say, Cho.
Pause. Cho, you are going to make a disguise kit skill check. So that is going to be your charisma bonus plus your proficiency bonus, and then tell me what that overall sum is.
19.
Okay. So you hear a knock at the door as you are finishing up your disguise. You pull up this cloak around yourself, and you feel like looking in your portable silver mirror that you've done a decent job with your bald cap and your mustache and your prosthetic nose. You feel like you've done a pretty good job with your disguise. as Captain Fu. There's a loud knock on your door.
Is the door locked? I mean, I want to enter.
It's not locked.
Okay. So I burst in, I close the door behind me, and I
Okay.
say, Captain Fu, we have bigger problems.
Yes, we do. I must go to my room for a moment, then I will join you momentarily.
I think that might not be advisable. There has been a breach in the cargo area where the crew is mending the boards to stop water from entering the cargo area. But Captain Fu's face lit up when I told him that the noise that occurred came from outside the ship and that the cargo was not the cause of this breach. If you are outside in the hall, you might be discovered. I have Cade right now looking after mother and sister, and I told them to be at the ready. This is not a small storm. Something is afoot. We might have to take precautions that we may be under attack by what? I don't know, but from Captain Fu's face, it seemed to be perhaps a seafaring creature of sorts.
I agree. I will make the proper arrangements and change back. But we do not have much time if we are to discover what's really going on.
Well,
As you guys are talking, you not only hear another loud thumping sound from below deck, you feel it this time. Like the ship is rocking back and forth, and then all of a sudden the ship goes like boom. Each one of you make a dexterity save. That includes you, Cade. No
Yep.
matter where you are in the ship. Difficulty 15.
Is it, do I still have an advantage? Is my
Yes. Yes.
I rolled a natural 16, and with my dexterity, I'm at 22, I believe.
Okay.
Glad I
19.
have advantage. That was a 17 and a 1.
Okay. So each one of you kind of catches yourself before everything in your room gets knocked over. You hear clanging and the sounds of like things from all over the deck just getting knocked over. And then the ship seems to kind of right itself and goes back to rock.
I turn around and look at Shao. It's getting worse, brother. I need to go downstairs and make sure that the cargo area has not been breached again. So, I open the door and I exit out and grab the lantern this time
Okay.
and head downstairs to make sure everything's okay.
All right. Pause. Cade, you see your brother Zhen come out of your room and is heading back towards the stairs. What do you do? Do you stay with your mom and your sister, or do you go with him?
I'm going to make sure they're as secured as they possibly can. And just
So
tell them to-
you open the door, and your mom and sister are on the floor, and they're like picking themselves up, and all of their stuff is like all over the floor, and they're like, and they're like trying to put their clothes back into these bags, and your mother, one of the bags of coins that you guys were given is spilled out all over the floor, and your sister's like, she you could see she's like scared. She's like, Cade, what's going on? What was that sound?
I don't know, little sister. Just stay safe.
Smash
I'm gonna
cut to Cho. You're in the process of about to take off the bald cap and the nose. You're what are you doing? Are you still going to remove the disguise? Your brother Shao Zhen went out the door.
Yes, I continue to remove the disguise as there are more important matters at hand. And it was
Okay.
very convenient how that happened just as I was on a mission.
It
But
is.
I will join my brothers and
Okay.
find out what's going on.
So you kind of tear off the nose and the mustache and the bald cap and throw it into your disguise kit, and then you run out the door. You see Cade is at the door with your mother and sister, and he's like, just stay safe, and he closes the door. The two of you follow your brother Shao Zhen. Shao, you get down there first. You see the two sailors that were trying to mend this hole. As you get down to the bottom, you see water now shooting in, Like there is definitely a breach in the hull. Water is like just spraying in at like vast rates, right? You see the two, sailors are like, help us, and they're trying to pick up boards and trying to like push it up against, but they don't have the manpower to like seal this. They're yelling like, get help. And you guys, Cade and Shao, you hear these sailors yelling for help, and you can hear the sound of the water spraying in.
Go to assist them.
Okay. I'm going to have each one of you make an athletics check. Tell me what the result is.
I rolled a 7.
15.
16.
Okay. So your assistance has provided enough muscle to get a couple boards up against this breach. But it is literally like you are putting in all of your, like the two crew members are like shoulder in, right? And you see the barrel of steaming pitch and like the ladle is like on the ground, and they're like, someone start ladling that up. We have to seal this. So you guys are there working on that stuff. What is your passive perception, each one of you? I know that Cade's is 16. What's yours?
My passive wisdom perception block is blank.
So do you have proficiency in perception?
I have a 13.
Okay. So here's the scoop. You guys are so busy trying to board up this thing and get the pitch. The only person who notices is Cade. You see that there are several rats who are like climbing up the stairs, like jumping up the stairs to try to get away from being in the cargo hold.
Right.
Even though you guys have kind of slowed the flow of water, there is now a foot of water. So you see like the water is actually sloshing around in the cargo hold, and even like up against the crates. Like some of the crates are like have like a foot of water. The crates that are stacked up higher are still dry, but some of the crates are taking on water.
Okay, so I have a question. So would it be advisable for me to leave and go get more help to get this under control? It sounds
Yes,
like we got
you guys don't know what you're doing, and you feel like you don't have enough wood and pitch to seal this up.
Okay, so what I do is I yell at the two brothers and the crew members, continue to do your best work. I will go get more help.
Okay.
And then I run up.
As you run up, you see 4 more crew members running down the hall towards you guys, and they're like, was there a breach? Is there a breach?
Second breach. We need your help down at the other end.
Help us lift this wood. And you see they're carrying like boards and stuff and nails and hammers, and they're running, and you guys start bringing the stuff down, and the other crew members are trying to seal it up and stuff, and they're blade just slathering on this tar and stuffing like cloth in there and then putting boards up, and they're just trying to kind of patch this up as best as they can. Shao and Cade, you guys are kind of relieved with the arrival of the 4 crew members, and they're trying to patch this hole up. So the 3 of you are you're still down there and you're watching these guys work. But what do you do?
Brothers, I'm not sure, but earlier I thought I saw something in the lightning flashes. Maybe we can see what it was if we go back up.
If we do discover what's doing this, do we have any line of defense against it? Do we have anything that we can use? Cade, can you commune with it?
It's maybe, but I have some of my magic at my disposal that I could probably attack it with, to just at least drive it off.
Let's go above deck and see if we can get a view of what it is.
Okay.
You guys go up above deck, and the storm is raging. Again, you see, Captain Fu, you see the rest of the crew, everybody's working hard. Captain Fu sees you guys and he runs down and he says, "Did my men arrive to seal the hull breach?"
Yes.
Like, good.
They did.
We must ride this storm out. But I have informed my men to keep an eye out along the ship. I think we are being attacked by some sort of sea creature. And as he says that, you hear another like boom, and everybody takes a fall. You can make another deck save.
25.
Okay, you guys kind of hold your ground. Captain Fu grabs a hold of a post, but you see a bunch of the crew like just fall and like wipe out, and water's like sloshing along the deck, and they all try to struggle and get back up. And he's like, "Harpoons, harpoons!" And he's pointing in both directions, and you see the men on both sides are like that are tied off. They're at the railings, and you see them looking and like they're holding harpoons as if they're ready to see what attacked. You see one of the men go, "There, starboard side," and he throws his harpoon. This side is about where this man is about 30 feet across the deck from you guys. So you can't really see what he's seeing, but you see that there are 5 crew members with harpoons, and one of them who called out that he saw something and threw the harpoon. They're about 30 feet away.
Run over there.
As you're running over there, you are aware that the side of the deck where this man just threw his harpoon from is the same side where the hull breach was down below. You guys get over there, and there's a flash of lightning. And the men with harpoons at the sides, you see them like kind of like fall back in shock. And as you guys get there to the railing, you see what it is that they are falling back from. You see this enormous head that looks like a shark's head, but it is on the body of some other kind of sea creature with green skin and scales, and it is launching itself up from the water towards the railing, towards the top of the ship, where you guys and these crew members are. And that is where we'll end this episode of High Adventure. Tune in next time to find out what happens, everybody. Thanks for watching, and as always, please subscribe and support the show. Peace out.
Well, hello, it's me, Wizzy. I'm back once again to remind you to subscribe and click on the notifications button, and also watch videos that are over there. And then don't forget to tune in to the next episode of whatever show you are just watching, and crafting videos and DM tips and pro tips for vlogging and all sorts of gaming things.